We are good. Yay, Gina. Yay, we're on. We're live. Thank you, Gina, for being here. So let's just jump right in because I am really excited about this topic about your past does not define your future. So yay. Okay, so Gina, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to go straight to reading here. Gina Lopez was raised in the San Joaquin Valley and began her journey as an empowered woman at a young age when she joined the military. And I have a cold too, guys, so this is not helping. And became a military police officer. She left the military working for the Department of Defense while attending college in the evening. She graduated in the top 5% of her class with honors in only 3.5 years when she received her bachelor's in criminal justice and her master's in business management. Gina's next adventure came in December of 2000 when she opened her independent State Farm office in Gilroy, California, and that business continues to grow strong as she celebrates nearly 18 years in the business. And in 2012, she expanded her entrepreneurial reach when she and her husband, Brian, awesome guy, opened their second business in 2012. Woo! Gina believes in community involvement and is board director for Gilroy Chamber of Commerce, board of director of Leadership Gilroy, vice president of South Valley Home and School Club. Her and her husband, Brian, have 5 children and are actively involved in their children's hobbies and endeavors. In her spare time, Gina enjoys traveling the world and drinking fine wine. Yes. Cheers to that. Gina's passion for helping people has inspired her to acquire Reiki 2 certification and embrace the practice of meditation and spirituality. Gina expanded her vision and expertise by becoming a freedom coach where she coaches and mentors men and women all over the world, helping them to step into their power and rooster up.
That's right.
Rooster up. And I happen to know you have some amazing kids. The little one, that little girl is so awesome. I spent some time with her and she's amazing. So good job, Mom.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So good role model, I'm sure. Okay, so your past does not define your future. What does that mean? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I thought that this would be a really good topic because I think a lot of times as women, we do let our past define our future or who we are right now. Sometimes we just can't leave that baggage behind and know that where we are now or where we are supposed to be and who we have become is because of what we had from the past. Does that make sense? It makes us stronger as people. So a little history of why I think this is so important to share is when, where I am now, people see me now as Gina Lopez, with, 3 businesses and thriving and all of that, but they don't know the Gina Lopez growing up in a small town. Our little house was in an alleyway, and how I grew up. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a little past experience from that. So, I grew up in a small town in the Central Valley, and my mom at the time, she didn't have a lot, of money, and then she got married, and so we kind of rose up a little bit from there. But as time went on, I didn't know the knowings of what to do or not to do in the sense of having babies. I ended up having son when I'm years old.
But you're freezing up a little bit. So might want
How did I survive that? Right?
You've just froze on us for the last few seconds there.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yes, you're good now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good. So that's okay. So I was 15 when I had my first son. And, at that time, we had to take it was either you left school, high school, and went to independent study, or you could go back to high school but I had to take my son with me to a child development class. So instead of doing home ec or some other kind of extra, elective, I had to take child development. And so for me, I think that gave me, I don't even know what the word is, but it put a little mark, like, oh, that girl has a kid, I don't want to date her. And I didn't have a lot of dates in high school. And so, it was just me and my son at 15. And so by the time I became a senior, I already had created, right? So I created this story in my mind of who I was, right? I was, a young mom. A lot of the girls in my high school were having kids at that time. So I was kind of bunched in that group, while all my other friends were cheerleaders or played sports and went on to do great things in college. And I was on welfare, food stamps, WIC. I mean, I've done that path. And so when I turned 18, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, Gina, you're sitting there literally on the top of my roof at my mom's house, and beautiful area to see the stars. And I said, man, is this going to be my life? And I don't want it to be my life. All the naysayers said I would never graduate high school. And I'll be honest, I barely did. I did graduate, but I was a C student, not a good student. And kind of fast forwarding, I said the only way I could think of getting out wasn't going to school, because I really felt that wasn't for me, was joining the military. So you can imagine, now I'm 19 and I'm going into the military. I had to leave my 3-year-old son, which still tears me up to this day that was just such a hard thing for me to do. But that was the only way I could see that I was going to get off of welfare, that I was going to get off of all that assistance to create our own future. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but the best experience for me. It gave me the opportunity to grow up and realize that I didn't have to have that little stigma on me that said, this 15-year-old girl that's never going to make it in this world because now she has a child and she's already created this certain legacy for herself, if that makes sense. And I was determined that I was going to come back one day and show those naysayers that look at me now. So that's kind of, I wanted to preface that because it was so vital, to who I became. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I love your story. And I love that you're starting when you're young. But your past is really it's not necessarily even when you were 15. I could see, I'm just thinking about my my followers here, and they're in 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s, and saying, okay, well, I'm already past that. I'm older now, but I think you're even talking about not just when you were 15, when you were 30s and your 40s and your 50s, whatever's behind you is behind you, right?
Regardless. It is. Yeah. Absolutely. But I think even us in our 30s, our 40s, and our 50s, there's that still little person inside of us that sometimes looks at that, and it's almost like we've left a stain on ourselves. As I was getting older, I used to tell people I was 35 when I was 27. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, I needed to present myself as this professional woman because I was opening up a business when I was 27. So I told people I was 35 until I turned 35. So there is a mindset, right, behind that. So that's kind of, the getting past that is my point is that, if I wouldn't have found coaching and mentoring and all the books and personal development that I've gone through over the last 20 years, I definitely wouldn't have made that shift. And I think all of those things are so vital to who we are as women, mothers, people, friends, all those things to help us, leap forward into our future.
Right. And even as a 50, 60-year-old woman, you still have your future, and it's never too late. It's It's never, like when you're talking about trying to be older, and then when you're older, you want to be younger. And, we kind of do this flip flop kind of thing. But when you're moving forward, so tell me, how do you get past your past? Like, how do you kind of let it go to start moving forward?
So what I did is I had to have a driving force, right? So my driving force, honest to goodness, was the will, my will. It's si se puede. It's this will of that I'm gonna conquer this. I'm gonna conquer the stigma that I really thought people had against me, if that makes sense. But eventually, when I finally kind of fell full circle, people from high school and even in my early 20s, they don't remember all the stuff that I went through, right? They don't remember that. Yeah. And a lot of times, I'm not kidding, as women, because I've coached a lot of women where they're carrying all their baggage from their past, but it doesn't let them open up a new door, right? So when you're able to say, okay, that is my past, I am a different Gina now than I was in my 20s and my 30s. Now I'm in my mid 40s. And to be honest, I'm the best Gina I've ever been. Truly the best Gina. And because of all those past experiences, for me, those have all been stepping stones to the me now, to where now I can help people, with finances. I can help them with coaching. I can help them with meditate, all these different things that I've learned on my journey, right, to help them succeed. Because as women, we live so much up in our head, and we forget that, girl, I got you. I've been where you've been, and I can help you get through that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I love, you just said, just to let it go so that you can move forward. And we do carry a lot of that stuff with us. I totally get everything that you're saying, and I can totally relate. And I'm sure all of my listeners are relating to everything you're talking about, and remembering every little thing we did wrong, and nobody knows, nobody cares, not that they don't care. That's like, it was like, they don't remember that stuff. And we're the ones that hold on to it. And the sooner we can let it go, the sooner we can start living our future in the best way possible. And Absolutely. I love that. I love Absolutely. That's awesome. So, because we were talking a little bit about where you are now, and like, how do you know what your next steps are? Because we were saying how, even for me, I don't think I ever would have thought that this is where I would be, 10 years ago. Where I am now, I would not have thought about my house, this business, it's like, how did I get here? So how do you know that your next steps and that you're on the right, path? Or are they all the right paths? Are they all meant?
I think that so I wrote a little blog about the fork in the road, right? That we each get to a fork, and we're looking straight, and it's like, do I go straight? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go backwards, right? And we're hoping nobody ever goes backwards. But I always tell my clients that it doesn't matter if you pick left, right, or straight. Just choose something, because your path is always ever.
Oh, you're freezing.
Because that just means, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. I'm all, I do.
So you're saying just to go ahead and pick a path. It doesn't even matter. It's just that moving forward. And you were saying
yes. Always, the best thing I can relate it to is the saying is fail forward, right? So if you're going to fail at something, that's okay, but fail forward. And when you fail fast, right? Because a lot of times when people fail, they think that that's a bad thing. but it's not. It's actually a good thing because you tried it. It's not that you failed. It's that whatever it was just didn't work. So then you do something else. A lot of times we internalize that is that we failed, and that's not the case at all. Does that kind of make sense?
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that you're saying just pick a lane, just go for it, because, and I don't know how to put the words together, but life loves, or energy loves movement. Like we are all energy and we're just constantly moving, and we can't be stagnant, because once you get stagnant, you get stuck, and then it's just so much harder to get the momentum going again. So just keep going, and you will get the nudge either way. And if it's the wrong nudge, you'll just be nudged back over here, and you just keep, and it's all about the journey to the next thing. That's what I'm hearing,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yes, I totally believe that. I mean, I didn't know that going from the military and then working at the Department of Defense in Hawaii at Pearl Harbor would lead me to Washington State, where I started working for State Farm, that led me to, Gilroy almost 18 years ago, right? I wouldn't have known that path. I didn't, as kids, they always say I wanted to be a firefighter. Okay. That's what I thought I was going to be.
Really?
And I really did. I really was amazed. I've always wanted to do those things where there wasn't a lot of women in it, because I wanted to prove as women we could do it. I've definitely always had that.
Girl, me too. I am so on with you. I'm with you. Go ahead.
I'm like, we could do it, right? But when I look forward, when I joined State Farm, there wasn't a lot of women. There wasn't a lot of Hispanic women, and so they were looking, and I was open. So, and now that's why I have a successful, thriving business right now. But, but it's not my only path, right? Some people would say, Gina, you're doing great. You make a lot of money, and this is my only path. But what I realized is that we shouldn't always put our eggs in one basket. I know it's such a cliche that's said all the time, but it is so true. You've got to branch out and see what else is out there that you can do. Absolutely, without a doubt, right? And so that's when we ventured out into network marketing, which I love. I love network marketing, which that turned into showing people how to be entrepreneurs, how to be, self-employed. Entrepreneur is such a big, vast word, right? But as an entrepreneur, it's always good to have mentors and coaches. And so that kind of led to me being a freedom coach. So it all just kind of circled around. And the biggest thing that I found in all of that is that I love helping people. I love helping people, women. I love seeing women that, are right here and they can't see the door, right? They can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I just kind of open their eyes and give them just a little bit different perspective of themselves, because sometimes we see things in other people that they don't see in themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just help bring out what's already there.
Absolutely. And I love that you're talking about coaches, because I think the most successful, I think we may not call them coaches, but we all need coaches. We all, the top performers will always have coaches for their business. If it's a sports, a coach for an athlete, a coach for, there's people that have been there, done that. And I think everybody needs to have some type of, whether you call it a mentor, coach, a go-to person, life coach, somebody that you can go to, like you said, help you see things in yourself that that you can't always see. That I completely believe coaching is so vital for everybody. And most people don't have a coach. Most people just kind of stumble over things, and that's okay too. But if you want to go through life, I don't even know how to explain just how much more juicy and exciting your life can be when you have a coach or someone there cheering you on. Like
it's your cheerleader, right? It's your personal cheerleader that just has your back and is they're just your rock that you stand on, and you've always had the base, but they just kind of hold you steady, right? And help you to get to the next, whatever it is you want to do in your life. And, I think along with that, I was reading a good book. I brought it because I wanted you guys to see this, but I read this book called The Energy Bus. And I don't know if anybody has ever heard of it, but I'm gonna put it up right here so you guys can see it. It's called, is it in there? The Energy Bus.
Hold
This
on.
book, okay.
I'm going to, there you go. Now I can see better. The Energy
Okay.
Bus. Okay, thank you.
The Energy Bus. It's by John Gordon. And what I love about this is because like I said, remember, I was that C student that barely graduated. And then all of a sudden I graduated. I got my bachelor's and my master's degree in 3.5 years. And it was because of all those things that I kept thinking people were thinking about me, right? That I was a C student, right? We get in our mind, we let other people get in our mind. And then realizing when I went back to school at 22 that, wow, I was really smart. And so it just kind of all comes around. And this energy, the book, The Energy Bus, talks about that. And what I really loved about this book is it is more about, it tells you, it gives you the lesson in a story. I like books that tell a story and then have a lesson. And this book does that. And it talks about how, it says, post a sign that says no energy vampires allowed on your bus. So the moral of the story is that we all have our own bus, right? And we're driving along every day and we let people get on our bus. And sometimes we let people on our bus that we shouldn't let on. We can love them and like them and keep them as friends or family, right? It could come from anywhere. But that doesn't mean we have to let them on our bus, right? So that's letting them in here.
Yeah.
And it just says, fuel your ride with positive energy, desire, vision, and focus more your bus in the right direction. I mean, it has all these things about, drive with purpose and then have fun and enjoy the ride. So this thing is so powerful. I took it to my team. I asked them to read it. I have it on my mirror here in my office that says, this is your energy bus. You're the driver. Take the wheel and change direction. So it's just such it's an inspiring book. I recommend.
That. Yes, I love that. I will be getting the book because that I like stories too. I'd like to be able to just kind of throw it into like I'm a visual person. I want to see how that works. So yeah, and I love that because you keep talking about your mind and it's all in your head, and you had said something about it's not, your past isn't who you are. Like, we aren't any of that stuff. We are what we think we are in our mind, right? Or what it's like, it all starts with us. It all starts in our mind, and we're only as good as we allow ourselves to be, or we, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What help me?
I think a good metaphor is like we're like a flower, right? And so our seed is in the ground and we're starting to bloom. And as we're blooming, sometimes the flower doesn't get enough water, right? And if it doesn't get enough water, it may bloom, but it's stipend. Maybe it's a dwarf, and it would be this beautiful, flower. And so I think as we water it more, which is the coaching and the mentoring and all of that, it feeds us. It keeps the soil moist and how it's supposed to be. And then we eventually just sprout out into a beautiful flower.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Oh, did you freeze? Are you there? Gina. Okay, well, what time is it? Because do you hear me? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay, now you're back. Okay. All right. Well, we actually did pretty good because I thought for sure you're going to freeze more. So I'm glad, because we're coming up to, we're almost at 30 minutes now. So
Okay.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Just a couple more things. Hopefully, don't let me freeze, universe. I talked about I think everybody should do a vision board. I think I've done one like a 5-year, 1 year, but I think everybody should do like a 6-month vision board. Where do you see yourself in 6 months? And get your family involved if you have one. And if you don't, that's okay. Because you were talking about direction, right? What path? I think if you can look at a vision board and go, okay, well, where do I want to be in 6 months? Do I want to try yoga? Do I want to work out? Do I want to play a musical instrument? You know, and put that on paper. I have my vision board that I just completed. It literally is on the top of my bed. And so every morning when I wake up, I look at it and I go, okay, you know,
That's awesome.
you know, and one of them is I never was a morning person, but now I am, because it says on there, it says, it's time to time to wake up, beauty. It's time to beast. So it's something to, you know, keep me going. The last thing I would say is write a letter to yourself. I don't know if there's any country fans out there, but Tim McGraw does a, you know, Live Like You're Dying, you know, gives a really good synopsis of the things that we always say we're going to do and we never do. And then as we get older, we wish we would have, right? And so I wrote a letter to myself, and, you know, it's, you can't see it here, but I just talk about where do I want to be in 6 months. And it's all positive affirmations to myself that I read every day. And so when I'm feeling down or out or something comes in my way, I read my letter that I wrote to myself. And I think that that's important too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yes, I have my vision board. I think mine is a long time, and I probably should look at it again. And I like your 6 months vision board. I think that, and for me, when I'm looking at it, it's more about the feeling that I get when I'm looking at that vision board. Like you said, when you see it, be that morning person, you read it, and it just starts that feeling, starts the energy, and those feelings, it's moving forward with inspired energy, with that positive, you know, where you want to go. So I really love that. And I thank you for that reminder on my vision board. I probably should go back to that. And then with the letter to myself, one thing that I know that when I'm talking about future, I always put it in present tense. Not that yes. I, you know, instead of looking forward to it and constantly looking forward, I'm going to write this letter like it's done. Congratulations on your whatever, your book that you just wrote. You know, look, this is awesome. And you know what? You're going to have a lot of people at whatever your letter says to yourself. So, because I have written letters to myself, and but it's present tense, like it's done, and just feel how excited you are about that. Yeah, good stuff. I love it. So thank you everyone for those were your two, right? Am I didn't cut you off, did I? Okay. Yeah. So I just want to thank you, Gina, for being here. But so we have a question for everyone watching. We just want to know what you got out of today. What you got out of, or what, you know, what kind of resonated with you, what piece. Comment below, or it kind of depends on where you're watching this. Let us know. You can find Gina on my website on irenekachel.com/inspiring interviews. You'll find all our links. You'll find out how you can get in touch with her. And I think we're good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I appreciate you always.